What's up, guys? Today I'm going to show you how to create the budget build. 1 Exalt per piece of gear. 10 Exalts, you can gear the whole thing up. I'll show you how to do everything, what items you need, what skill gems, and how to play it. Let's tap in. For the most part, we're just going to use lightning arrow. That's what we do. We attack the mobs. Lightning arrow, arrow, arrow. Let's go. Let's go. Easy. Light work. Light work. Feather, feather. Go through. Boom. We also have lightning rod. We throw that up. That's what we're going to put in the middle of mobs or maybe towards a rare enemy. It creates an AoE effect. Bang. Magnetic salvo. Press RT. Boom. Explosion. Escape. Boom. Get out of there. We're killing most of the mobs in one hit. Tier 15. 10 Exalts only. It took me about an hour to gear up and I was cruising through here. This is what you want. This is what you want right here. This is what you want. When you see a rare enemy, you can put down some lightning rods, magnetic salvo, boom, do a ton of damage to them. Okay, so I made this build originally because I saw so many builds online and all the comment sections on the videos would say, great, it's another build that we can watch, but we can't play because we can't afford it. So it kind of got me thinking, why don't I just make a budget build that can clear T15 maps? And from there, you can build up your currency and eventually grow into the builds that are way more advanced and maybe one-shot the bosses. For now, that's not what this is all about. This is all about getting to the spot where you can start farming and get more currency and build that wealth, baby. Okay, now for the skill gems. Our main skill is lightning arrow, of course. So just level that up as high as you can go. Put in the 20% quality, you get an extra beam at an additional enemy, more AoE, more clear speed. Let's go. Now for our support gems, we'll start with Innervate. I kind of put them in this order of priority. So Innervate's a huge damage boost, extra damage when you kill a shocked enemy, and there's going to be lots of shocked enemies since we're pure lightning. Then we got Martial Tempo, extra attack speed. Let's go. Then we got Lightning Infusion. This one gives you 25% of damage as extra lightning damage. Less cold and fire, but we're pure lightning. And then if you only have 3 slots, use those. If you have a 4th, use Primal Armament, which gives you 25% more weapon elemental damage. The reason why I prioritize Lightning Infusion over Primal Armament is Primal Armament is extra weapon elemental damage, whereas this one is 25% of damage as extra lightning damage. So it's going to be a bigger increase. Next, we got Lightning Rod. So that's the one that we shoot up in the arrow. I got it at 10 quality, but you shoot it up in the arrow and creates the AoE. Scatter Shot is mandatory. It gives you extra projectiles, extra area, extra AoE. See the theme here? Then we got Acceleration. Say less, more projectile speed. Look at how fast that is. Then we got Heft. So that's going to give you more maximum physical damage. It's just a good little extra. Then we got Magnetic Salvo. This is going to be that big bomb, that big explosion. I got Hourglass on there, so it does 40% more damage, but it has extra cooldown. That's fine. We don't use it that often unless we're getting in trouble or we're running into like a rare or unique enemy. And it's good for bosses. It's good for those hard rares, but we don't use it all that much. Inspiration, 40% less mana cost. Just good to have. Herald of Thunder. This is a sweet buff. It gets you a lot of AoE. Killing a shocked enemy will cause your next few attacks to call down lightning bolts. This thing clears screens. How we do that? We got to execute. So when enemies have low life, you do 40% more damage to them. Causes that effect of dead, dead, dead. Next, we got Lightning Mastery to give it an extra skill point, boost it up. Then we have Lightning Penetration to penetrate 30% more lightning resistance. Huge, huge key alert right here, Wind Dancer. So Wind Dancer, with normally it's 3 maximum stages, but when you have 20% quality, it gives you an additional stage. Now, what do these stages do? They give you more evasion until an enemy comes up and melee hits you. So that's why I say feather, 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 run away, run away. You'll continue to have more evasion until an enemy comes up and hits you with a melee. I like blind. It gives you a chance to blind enemies on hit. So what it does when you get hit, it creates like a wave that comes out and like bounces them away and knocks them back off of you. That blinds them as well. It gives you an extra second to get out of there. Then we have cannibalism. Kill enemies, get more life back. Love it. And clarity. Clarity is key. I really like this one. Extra mana regeneration while it's active, and it's active most of the time. And then we got escape shot. That's the one that you just go like this to get away. All I do is put Frost Nexus on it. Just creates a freeze on the ground, so that way they're a little bit slower when they chase after you. All right, let's move on to the skill tree and see how this thing works. We'll start with the Ascendency. Point Blank and Tailwind, of course, are the first. And then you move on to Endless Munitions, get that additional projectile. And then finally, Wind Ward, where you get the Tailwind damage reduction. 30% damage reduction when it's full. I still think it's better to get the additional projectile first, because you can still stand back and fire from afar. And clearing the maps will be a lot easier with more damage. When it comes to the skill tree, I'm going to have a link in the description. The link will go to Max Roll, and there I built a planner that'll show you where you should be at level 75, 80, 85, and 90. Of course, you can adjust as you like if you need a little bit more evasion or a little bit more attack damage. It's always a give and take, but one of the major concerns that everybody has is, what's up with acrobatics? Now, acrobatics is worth taking. It definitely is. You can evade all hits. So AoE attacks from monsters, slams, and things like that, you can actually evade them, but you get 70% less evasion rating. So that's a massive decrease. Now, when do you know is a good time to take it? Stand in your hideout or go out in the wild, somewhere you can shoot, not in town. Shoot until your tailwind is at 10. Most of the time when you're doing maps, your tailwind's going to be at 10. So this is a good way to check. Do that until you see the 10. Hit C and check your evasion rating. With acrobatics equipped, you should be about 50% or higher. I think that that's the perfect point. It's good enough because with this build, you stand back quite a bit and you're not going to be hit. You're not going to be cornered that much if you play strategically. It's just a general rule of thumb. So if you're at like 42, 45, whatever it is, I'd say just test it out and see how it feels on the maps. See how you're getting hit. And if it's working out great, then just keep using it. Okay, with the passive skill tree, each one of these little nodes, you can make them dexterity, strength, or intelligence as you need it. Most of them are going to be dexterity. But I'll just go over the main stuff. Honed Instinct, increase projectile speed and attack speed. Clean Shot, pierce an enemy chance, and increase projectile damage. Now we got movement speed and evasion rating. We have careful aim with projectile damage and 40% increased accuracy rating at close range. Even though we shoot away from far, we're close a lot of the time, so that's important. Master Fletching, 30% increased bonus gain from your quiver, plus another 15 on either side. That's 60% increase, plus 70, plus 80. Now we got Harness the Elements, 15% damage for each elemental ailment on an enemy. That's going to be Shock. So shock, increased 10% chance to shock, plus elemental damage on each one of those. We have evasion rating and evasion rating if you've dodge rolled recently, which is very often. Another movement speed and evasion. S tier, Falcon Technique, 1% increased attack speed per 15 dexterity. We stack a lot of dexterity. We have another dexterity node, a big one. Then we got evasion rating. 100% increased evasion rating from equipped body armor. We have acrobatics, of course. Herald damage, extra damage from your herald. That's going to be your Herald of Thunder, which gives you lightning damage. And then another 50% increased lightning damage while Herald of Thunder is active, which is very, very, very often. Huge damage boost. Down here we have arrows pierce additional targets, along with some increases on your bow, like attack speed and some damage. And then we have increases and reductions to projectile speed apply to damage with bows. With our quiver, we're going to have projectile speed. We picked it up on a few nodes. And over here, 15% increased projectile speed along with AoE of attacks, projectile speed, and then we get some sweet damage down there. Come over this way, maiming strike, 25% increased attack damage along with 25% chance to maim, which if you hit Alt, you can see if they're maimed, they suffer 30% slower movement speed and 15% reduced evasion rating. That's great for a ranged character because we're backpedaling quite a bit and we love when they're slowed down. Come over here, we got movement speed from acceleration and 10% increased skill speed along with skill speed. Come this way to Catalyst. We got 20% increased elemental damage with attacks, along with 5% of physical damage is taken as a random element. So your elements are going to be fire, cold, and lightning. We actually have max res on fire, cold, and lightning, so we're going to take a little bit less damage there, just a little bit. Come over here, down to lightning rod. We use the lightning rod, we take lightning rod. Lightning damage, pause. Lightning damage with non-critical hits is lucky. So what a lucky hit does is if you're going to roll, think of it like rolling a die. So your percent chance to do damage is based on how much damage you're going to do is based on what you roll. So think of it like now you're going to roll 2 die, a pair of dice. Okay, so you start off and you do the attack. You do more damage. Here we got a bunch of lightning damage. Damage penetrates lightning resistance. Another increased chance to shock. Then we have increased elemental damage with attacks, penetrate, more resistance, and then over here we have a chance to shock. Now for the last one, this is what also helps with acrobatics. We have evasion rating. And then we have 2 nodes that you don't want to take until you can take them both at the same time. Here's why. Escape strategy. 100% increased evasion rating if you have been hit recently, but 30% reduced evasion rating if you haven't been hit recently. On the other side, 30% reduced evasion rating if you have been hit recently, and 100% increased evasion rating if you haven't been hit recently. So if you take both of those, it's a 70% increase. But one at a time, you could be at a disadvantage if you have or haven't been hit, depending on which one you take first. Aside from that, let's check out some jewels. We like evasion rating, attack speed, projectile damage. I mean, just get some of the good stats in there. Damage, speed, it's all good to go. Over here we have 7% increased projectile speed, chance to shock, and attack speed with bows, along with 14% magnitude of damaging ailments you inflict with critical hits. Now, none of these jewels are mandatory. They're just a bonus. So if you find a good one in there, seems like it's good for a bow, throw it in. The last one, chance to shock, attack damage, projectile damage, and then some trash increased mana recovery from flask. Gear talk. Time to talk about the gear. And the challenge was 1 Exalt max. That's all you can pay for each piece of equipment. And you need to be able to clear T15. We did that no problem. Let me get started with the bow. I'll show you some of the best stats that you can get on each item and what to look for on the trade website. Starting with the bow, we just need high DPS, high physical damage. So some of the good stats on this is the increased physical damage, the flat lightning, and the +1 level to all projectile skills. The rest of them are kind of throwaways. You can't really expect to get perfect gear, so you just want to aim for high DPS on this. Before we go to the trade website, make sure you check your stat requirements. You don't want to be the guy that buys the bow, spends your Exalt, and then it sits pretty in your inventory or stash for 10 levels. So let's go to the trade website. Here's what it's going to look like, the official trade website. We're going to search for a bow. So show filters, make sure you're on PoE 2 standard. Click here, scroll down to bow, or just type in bow. Now we'll go to Exalted Orbs. This is the buyout price. Max 1, that's it, search. 10,000 matched. I'm not going to search through 10,000. Show filters. Let's be extra strict at first. If nothing pops up, we can lower our expectations. 350 DPS. No results found. Wah, wah. Let's go 300. 16 results. Now we have something to look at. Down here it shows your DPS, your physical DPS, and your elemental. I like to get high physical DPS, but good DPS overall. This lightning damage is really good. Some other good stats would be ranking to projectile skills. Let's see if there's any here. No results found. Let's go 280. Now we have 8 results. So it'd be really good to get, flat physical, flat lightning, and +1 level to all projectile skills. Don't be discouraged if there's a few extra throwaway stats. It's not going to be perfect. Keep in mind, on the left side here, it's going to show you what's already socketed. So this one actually is pretty low physical damage compared to the others. It has additional sockets. So you can make these bows even better by socketing them and adding your own physical damage. Now, if I was looking for a bow, I'd look for a combination of these stats, starting with 300 DPS, and then all 4 of these. Well, you probably won't get all 4, most likely not, but a combination of 1 or 2 would be great. Level to all projectile skills, increased attack speed, flat physical damage to attacks, or flat lightning damage to attacks. So if you find the bow you want, all you have to do is come down here once you're logged into the website and click Direct Whisper. It's going to message them in-game for you. So if you come back to your game here, you'll see it sent the message, I want to buy your bow for 1 Exalt. It's in a different language, but you get the gist. Once they invite you to the party, you join the party, you right-click their name up here. It's going to pop up. Click Travel to Hideout. You're going to travel there. They initiate the trade, and then you do the trade. Here's an example of the quiver I got. It has flat lightning, flat physical, increased projectile speed, increased attack speed, with another implicit for increased attack speed. If I was searching on the website, I would search for a combination of these: flat physical, flat lightning, increased damage with bow skills, increased attack speed, level to all projectile skills, and increased projectile speed. Definitely get that one, at least that one with 35 minimum, and always get the implicit non-negotiable of increased attack speed. You can probably get that implicit and the projectile speed with another 1 or 2 of these and you'll be just fine. Okay, here's my helmet. I searched over 200 evasion rating, life, and then triple res, fire, cold, and lightning. Don't be like me. Keep track of your resistances, learn how to do arithmetic, and don't end up 1 short on lightning. Ideally, you'd like 90 on fire, lightning, and cold, because sometimes on maps, there's a detractor that'll take off 15 elemental res. But I think just starting out, 75 max is great. When you come to the website to search for a helmet, I would just go minimum 200 evasion rating and minimum 20 fire, cold, and lightning, and then just put max life on there. There should be a lot that pop up. Here's my body armor. I searched high evasion rating, life is mandatory, and throw on resistances that you need. In this case, I needed chaos resistance, but whatever you need, you can search for. Try and find armor that's not already socketed. So if you're short on some sort of resistance like cold, you can just throw in a rune and you'll be fine. On the website, I would go here, search body armor, 1200 evasion, put life on there always, and then whatever combination of resistances that you need. So my gloves have an evasion rating of 133, max life, and resistances. So you go to the website, search evasion, minimum 100, always have max life, and then some combination of resistances, like usual. Get your resistances first, but if you're maxed out, you can get more damage with attack speed, flat physical, and flat lightning. Okay, I'm going to move myself down for the rest of the video so we can see what's going on. For belts, I personally like the passive flask gain charges per second. I have those on my flask as well. It's just nice to refill without having to kill enemies. I like max life, max mana, a good place to get chaos res, and if you need other res, you can get it too. So I'd search max life, minimum 100, chaos res, max mana, minimum 80, the implicit of flask gaining charge per second. And if you need another resistance, feel free to throw it on there. Okay, the rings are really up to you. This is where you can make up for a lot of resistances. On this one, I have implicit of chaos res, Both rings have all the elemental resistance, and then this one has flat lightning for damage. On this one, I have an implicit of elemental res, all the elemental res below as well, 33% cold res, and some life and mana. On the website, I would search to start off if you're low on resistances, just go for implicit to all elemental res with elemental res on there. Then you can make up for it on any one of these four. And if you're doing really good, just throw some lightning and some life on there and you're straight ready to go. If you guys like this and want to see a leveling build, let me know in the comments.